Good evening. My name is Sonia Samtani, and it's time once again to have an authentic, real conversation without our masks. So, what's happening behind lots of our smiles and saying to people that I'm good or I'm fine when they ask us what's going on is that we could be in pain that we actually don't want to reveal. This time, I'm talking about physical pain. So it could be that our back is hurting, or we have chest pain, or a massive headache. And I'd like to give you an insight on what's happening behind this pain. You see, I believe that all pain is psychosomatic. That means that it is caused by our psychology and our mind. So everything starts off with a thought. You could think about your mother or your brother. And depending on how you feel about that relationship, that thought produces an emotion. Could be happy or angry. The emotion has an energy, and that energy is felt by the physical body. So the state of your body can be mapped back to thought. And many studies have shown us that if we resolve the thought, we can resolve our physical aches and pains. So I'm going to quote a study that is done by someone called Dr. John Kappas, who is an American physician, and he has divided our body into 5 different zones. And each zone tells us what is the thought that is causing the pain here. So the first zone is what we call the crying syndrome, and that covers the head and the neck area and the chest. Now here, if you've got a headache or if you've got chest pain, the thought behind it is not being happy with a decision that you have made, or being unable to make a decision that you are happy with, and then telling yourself that you are confused. Now, I think that confusion is a defense mechanism. It's much easier to say that I'm confused sometimes than to take responsibility for that decision. Mostly, we actually know what we want. So there is one option that I would love to do. And there is another option that maybe I think I should do, or other people want me to do it, or it feels a little bit easier. And then I think, oh, I'm confused, so I don't have to take responsibility for my decision. But the thing is that that is going to lead us to aches and pains. And what we need to do behind that is to actually get some clarity, take responsibility, and make a decision. And perhaps get that confidence to make a decision to do what you actually love. That's zone 1. Zone 2 is what we call the responsibility syndrome. And this covers the shoulders, the upper back, and the middle back. And this is when we take on more responsibility than we can handle. So we know that we are responsible for ourselves, and if we have younger children, we're responsible for them too. But if our child is 35 or 40 years old, we don't have to be responsible to make sure that they're sleeping well and they're eating well and they've got enough children and they've got the right clothes to wear. That is their responsibility. If you are the CEO of your company, it's not your responsibility to make sure that all your staff are financially stable and they're doing well in their homes. But sometimes we take on this responsibility on our shoulders, and it feels like you're carrying the whole world on your shoulders, and that doesn't need to be. Now let's look behind this. Why would you want to take that responsibility on? It's because deep inside, you don't trust that it's okay the way it is without you taking control or responsibility over it. You don't trust that your child is going to be okay without you taking control over that, or that your staff is going to be okay. So it's actually a control issue. And behind the need to control is not having enough faith or trust that things are okay the way they are. So in order to release the aches or pains here, we need to begin to trust. Now let's move on to zone 3. Zone 3 is the guilt syndrome. And that covers the entire stomach area up until your crotch. So the stomach, reproductive organs, kidneys, liver, etc. This is when we are feeling guilty about something. Now, feeling guilty means doing something and then reprimanding yourself over and over again because you feel like what you did was not okay. Now, the simple answer is that you've already done what you've done. It's in the past, and nothing that we can do is going to change what happened. The only thing that we can do is take a learning from it. So if you're driving a car and by mistake you run over a little cat, all the guilt in the world is not going to bring that back. The only thing that we can do is learn from it. Maybe know that it's not a good idea to talk on the phone while driving a car. And then you can drop the guilt and life finally moves on. Zone 4 is your arms, basically from the break of your shoulders all the way down to the tips of your fingers. This is the fight syndrome. And this happens when you are not standing up for yourself. That doesn't mean that you need to go and have a fight with someone. It means that we are not placing our boundaries. So we are being taken advantage of, or in some severe cases being abused, and we're not speaking up for ourselves. That's when we get ache and pain in our arms. The lesson here is to learn to speak up for yourself, to love yourself, and place that boundary. Take some action. And finally, zone 5 is the flight syndrome, which is from the break of your leg all the way down to your toes. And flight, like the word suggests, means that you'd like to run away from something. You're not facing a situation. So you're running away from a job, a relationship that doesn't work, from the idea that you don't have enough money. And what needs to happen is you need to face what is without running away. I once knew somebody who was building a hospital in Cambodia, and she wanted so bad to go to that place, but it was taking 6 months longer than was needed. And at the end, she developed severe pain in her knees because she just wanted to run away and she could not accept that it took longer. So there is something here that you need to accept and face. And then the pain in the legs will go. So all in all, I'd like to say that once again, your life is all about you. It's all up to us. So if we look deeper within and we resolve what's actually going on without suppressing it, we will feel better in our mind and in our bodies. We won't get this pain, aches, and ailments. And finally, we won't feel the need for these masks.